everyone. We will call today's Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Before we start, let me know for the record there's a copy of the Open Meetings Act on the north wall of legislative chambers. Also, for health reasons, if needed, there's an automatic defibrillator in the back. I'd ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to begin today by calling the Board of Commissioners meeting to order to handle some people that are here waiting. With that, Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Borgeson is absent. Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Friend,
Here.
Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Morgan,
Present.
Mr. Chair.
Here. We're going to move to item 3A and B, recognition and proclamations. We'll do, I'll read them and ask for them to come up in order. Item A is a recognition of the following county employee who's retiring: John Rockefort, who worked for the Douglas County Department of Corrections for 44 years. And item B is a recognition of Melanie Christensen, who's worked at the Douglas County Health Center for 30 years. I'll ask Mike to come up first with Mr. Rockefort, and then we'll ask Aaron to come up next.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Myers, Director of Corrections for Douglas County. This is a pretty momentous occasion. You've heard me come before you many times to tell you about the challenges that the correctional profession places upon those who practice it. The longevity is not great. The positive attitudes, struggle to survive in a place like this. It is a rare person who can persevere, not only for the length of time, but also in terms of keeping a positive outlook, staying engaged, and contributing to the betterment of the department. Lieutenant John Rockefort is that person. To my knowledge and anybody else's knowledge, he is the longest tenured employee in the history of the Douglas County Department of Corrections. And I will read the resolution, and I also have a plaque to present to him today, so I'll read you the content of both of these. And I know that he has, a contingent of people here from corrections supporting him as well. First, the resolution. Resolved. Whereas Douglas County recognizes that its employees are the county's most important asset and resource, providing quality service to the citizens of Douglas County. Whereas the county wishes to recognize John Rockefort of the Douglas County Department of Corrections on his retirement and dedicated service of 44 years to Douglas County, Nebraska. Now therefore be it resolved by this Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County, Nebraska, that the county recognizes John Rockefort for his dedicated service to the citizens of Douglas County, and thankfully presents this resolution as testimony thereof, dated this day of 19th day of December 2023. Thank you, sir.
Motion by Morgan, second by Friend. John, while people are gathering, and we'll see if anybody has anything to say, I didn't put it together till I read and came across when you were sitting there that this was your day. But in spite of what Mike has already said, you pretty much the face of graduation to me when it came in. I mean, you were the voice of graduation, and some places, that voice over the speaker, they call it the voice of God. And I knew when, your voice spoke there at the graduations, whether it was here or there. So there'll be some big shoes to fill that in some respects. And again, I can't express the feeling when, you came in and your welcoming voice there. So facility will miss you. We'll miss you, and I wish you well in your retirement. I don't know who else might have any words. Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thank you. John, congratulations. You should be justifiably proud of a great public service career. You and I came into Douglas County government the same year, and I'm sure that we passed each other when I was a young clerk with the Douglas County Public Defender's Office in 1979. And you have done an incredible job with an extremely, as Mike pointed out, difficult, for most people, impossible to do, but important public service job at corrections. I want to say thanks to you and to your family and friends for helping us make Douglas County the place that it is. It wouldn't be as good as it was for the last 44 years without you. So thank you and enjoy your retirement.
John, I wanted to express my thank you to you too. And I just had one quick question. You sure you're ready?
Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you again so much. 44 years, unbelievable.
Thank you.
Great service.
Mr. Frey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, I can only imagine over a 44-year career that you've seen so many things. I would imagine that we would have to sit down for hours where you could, debrief a person like me or others about some of the things that you've witnessed. Two thresholds: troubling things, of course, but also some success stories. And in 44 years, I'd like to hear some of those because I think you were probably a big part of that, and I wanted to thank you as well. So, thanks, John.
John, that's all we have. Do you have any words?
Just the only thing I have to say is, if I didn't enjoy the people I worked with, and that's generally the people that are here, not some of the incarcerated. Although I will miss some of them too, but I don't see any of them in here right now. I'm not one that really likes to be recognized. And when I was filling out the paperwork with Colleen Frederickson, Carol Donnelly came in and kind of made me feel like I should. And I'm glad that I did, because I wouldn't have made it 44 and a half years without the people I work with. So I'm glad that I could come here. I could thank them for being here. And I could also thank the county board as representatives of the electorate, the people that put you there. But thank Douglas County for the 44 and a half years that they gave me. Charlie Terry, when he interviewed me 44 and a half years ago, said the county had been good to him when he interviewed me. And I will say exactly what Warden Terry said to me. The county has been good to me. I would also like to thank my wife of 41 and a half years, and Debbie, for being here today and for being with me through most of that 44 and a half years and putting up with it. So thank you, Debbie.
Commissioners, if I could have a moment to read this plaque that we are presenting to Rocky. Lieutenant John Rockefort, whose service began on June 16th, 1979, and will end on December 22nd of 2023. In appreciation for his 44 years and 6 months of dedicated service, the Douglas County Department of Corrections would like to congratulate John Rockefort on his retirement. We wish you a happy retirement with the sincerest appreciation for your dedication, loyalty, and distinguished service. Congratulations and best wishes. Rocky, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Hold up, John, hold. I'm sure board members want to shake your hand on that, but before we do that, there is a motion, a second. Wait till the clerk gets back. Everybody vote, please.
Motion passes 6-0.
Oh, Mike wants a picture, so we might.
One, two, three. Oh, the mic's on. Okay, I took several.
Aaron, you want to come on?
All right, good morning, Commissioners.
Good
With me
morning.
today, I have Melody Christensen. She's been with the Douglas County Health Center for 30 years. One of the few nurses that have been on the same floor for 30 years. The whole floor has been kind of built around her. She's been a wonderful leader. Every time I was on the floor, all the residents were lined up to chit and chat with her in her office. So she was always very happy up there on the floor, and we were always happy with her leadership. And she was always a very joyous leader. So we're wishing her a truly happy retirement. She's earned it after all of her hard work, and her new chapter in her life will begin. It's been a joy to work alongside of you and enjoy your time with your lovely family. Many of them are here today, and we thank you very much for 30 years of continuous hard work.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Morgan, second by Commissioner Friend. Melanie, just on behalf of the board, it's hard to say managing, it's hard to imagine really how many years have been added over the last 3 years there, particularly what's going on. But just the fact by being here and this profession and how for years we've seen the churn that have happened there for you to stay 30, we greatly appreciate it, and it speaks a lot for the job you've done and particularly what the residents feel about you. So just want to thank you again and wish you well in your retirement.
Thank you.
With that, do you want to say anything? Oh, sorry.
I have something to say.
Commissioner Boyd? It's hard today without your mask. I can't get you.
Yeah, wearing my mask, of course, for COVID exposure. So I am in the healthcare professions, of course, as well, and I know what it's like to work in a place for 22 years, but not 30. So been a lot of ups and downs, not just over the past few years, which have been particularly challenging, of course, but just I'm sure throughout your whole career, you've seen so many changes going from paper charting to the electronic medical record to, yeah, I see your face. Mine's that way too under this mask.
We got
So,
this.
there you go. But so I understand the toils and the ups and the downs and it's you have the huge highs and the incredible lows and I know that you have great support around you, but you as in your position, you're the backbone of this of the Douglas County Health Center and what you do. If you've been there in that position for that long, I mean, the place can't run efficiently without you. So just knowing what it's like to have a manager in a position for so long, someone who's respected and obviously enjoys the work despite the ups and downs, you will be incredibly missed. Nurses like you are really hard to find. So we appreciate your service to Douglas County, and we hope, of course, you enjoy your next chapter. Right? Thank you for your service.
Anyone else? Commissioner Kavanaugh?
I want to echo these sentiments. The Douglas County Health Center, I've often said, is the crown jewel of what Douglas County does, and you were a key component in helping us provide the best thing that we do to the residents of Douglas County. I can't express my personal gratitude for you in helping these people that are residents and patients at Douglas County Health Center for 30 years. That's an incredible achievement, and you should be very, very proud of your contribution to public service and public health in Douglas County. I wish you a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year in retirement. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie, would you like to say anything?
I do have something to say.
Okay.
So it's kind of lengthy, but I'll get through it here. Okay. Good morning, board members. I'd like to express my appreciation for being recognized for my years of service to Douglas County. It's truly an honor to be standing before you today. In 1993, my last clinical rotation as a nursing student was ironically at Douglas County Health Center on 3 Center, now known as Willow Springs, where I spent a majority of my career working. After graduating from Metropolitan Community College in May of 1993, I worked as a graduate nurse under an RN at Elkhorn Manor until receiving results of my NCLEX exam, which at that time took 12 weeks. In memory of my mother, today I'm wearing the pin she placed at my graduation. Today that pin will be given to my daughter, Laura, who makes me proud every day. She will graduate from Creighton's Accelerated Nursing Program in August of 2024. I was called by the Douglas County Health Center and was offered a nurse position on January 10th, 1994. I began what would be a 30-year career as a registered nurse. I began my career as an evening float nurse. I also worked evenings on 3 West or Via Bella, then accepted a day position on 3 West. During our remodeling process in 2009, we were all relocated to 3 Center. In January of 2019, I accepted a new position as a nurse manager for 3 West, Via Bella, and 3 Center, Willow Springs. The first item I purchased for my office was a Maya Angelou canvas with this saying: as a nurse, we have the opportunity to heal the heart, mind, and body of our patients, their families, and ourselves. They may forget your name, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Because of this message, it's been a priority for me to have an open door policy with my staff and residents. I feel strongly about everyone being seen as a whole person and having a safe place where someone will listen. Coworkers will tell you that I often had more than one person waiting in line for their time with me. Sometimes that visit wasn't to talk, but for a pen, notebook, envelope, greeting card, or just one piece of candy from my candy dish. Nursing has given my life purpose, and I've had the privilege of caring for our residents and their families. I'd like to share a few experiences that have impacted my life. I came to see a resident as I knew his birthday was the next day and I was not working. His eyes lit up as I handed him my infant granddaughter to hold. We visited for a while, and then he said he wanted me to know something. He looked me in the eyes and he told me when he sits in his wheelchair in the dining room, he watches his staff and how they interacted with other residents. He said, I want you to know I watch you and you are a good nurse and you take the time to listen to the residents. This is one of the biggest compliments that I've ever received. This memory has remained with me as the next day he passed away on his birthday. And I'm so thankful that I took the time out of my life to hopefully make a difference in his. One morning I came to work early to hold the hand of a dying resident so he didn't have to be alone when he took his final breath. Unfortunately, his family could not be there at his bedside. However, they were at peace with the opportunity to be placed on speakerphone so that they could say their final goodbyes to their loved one. I was challenged by managing the COVID unit during the pandemic. The physical exhaustion and psychological stress was evident. The heroes I worked beside ensured that our residents receive personalized high-quality care irrespective to their infectious conditions. We became the only contact for the residents and their family and friends. Phone calls and FaceTime videos with family and friends were encouraging as the staff worked hard to maintain a routine and normalcy in the lives of the residents. These are only a few of the many memories I will take with me. As a new nurse, I was unsure of the adventures that laid before me. Now, as I step into this new chapter, I will carry the lessons I have learned here, the friendships I've made, and the memories we created together. In closing, I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity to grow in my career and to serve my community. I will never forget the experiences I had and the impact they've had on me, both personally and professionally.
Thank you. There is a motion, a second, please vote. If you like a picture, we can, but we would like to
Yes.
take your pen. Okay.
Motion passes 6-0.
shake it out.
Can I get your phone number after this too? Got it.
Okay, so if anybody's here for public hearing, this is your lucky day. I'm gonna just stay here because I know there's some people here. And then we'll go back after public hearings to the Board of Equalization. So we'll move now to item number 5 and public hearings. A was held over from last week. It's a clarifying the administration of the state statute 77-132 and 23-174.03 for the purpose of subdivisions and taxing jurisdictions. The public hearing is open for this item. Are there any public comment on this item? Any board comment on this item? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. What's the will of the board?
Move for approval.
Motion by Morgan, second by Boyle. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
We'll go to item B, Class C-126167's license for beer, wine, distilled spirits on and off sale for JKE Ventures, doing business as Rise and Shine Elkhorn Frosty Mug at 2611 North 204th Street, Suite 1 and 2 in Elkhorn, Nebraska 68022. We open the public hearing on this matter.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Sean Kelly, 2804 South 87th Avenue. Appearing on behalf of the applicant, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any public comment on this item? Any board comment on this item? We'll close the public hearing. What's the will of the board?
Move for approval.
Motion by Morgan, second by Fran. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
One quick comment. I want you to know we miss your father greatly.
Oh,
Because
thanks,
he
yeah.
used to come and do
That's
some
why
of
I'm here
this.
today. Yep,
And-
thank you.
Item C, Class D-125934 license for beer, wine, distilled spirits, off sale only for Come and Go, doing business as Come and Go at 361 1010 South 189th Street in Elkhorn, Nebraska 68022. We'll open the public hearing on this matter. Any public comment?
I'm sorry, Chris, can you speak into the microphone?
Any public comment on this item? Hearing, seeing none, any board comment? We'll close the public hearing. What's the will of the board?
Move for approval.
Motion by Morgan, second by Fran. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item D, Class D-125946, license for beer, wine, distilled spirits, off sale only for the Come and Go, doing business as Come and Go at 3762627 South HWS Cleveland Boulevard, Omaha, Nebraska 68130. We'll open the public hearing on this matter. Is there any public comment? Any board comment? We'll close the public hearing. What's the will of the board?
Move for approval.
Motion by Morgan, second by Fran. Roll call. Vote, not roll call.
Motion passes 6-0.
I'll ask for a motion to recess out of the Board of Commissioners and have roll call for. Okay, at the request of the board, we will go now to item A2 in finance, ARPA funding for the approval of resolution authorizing the award of $50,000 to the Benson Theater. Whose is this? Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Yes, thank you. I am happy to make this proposal for $50,000 to the Benson Theater, which is a neighbor of mine in Benson, next to the Benson Law Center that I own. The executive director, I think, Miss Amy Ryan is here. And Amy, if you could come down for just a second. The Benson Theater is a absolute jewel box of a restoration project in downtown Benson that is beyond compare. The nicest performance area in the Performance Center of Omaha, Benson, in my colleague Commissioner Boyle's district. And Amy has been the guiding light of this for, the last decade anyhow, and took this property from a derelict wreck of a, I believe, 1920s vaudeville theater that had stood vacant for some time, and has restored it to a multimedia performance area without peer in our city. And so, Amy, it gives me great pleasure to make this proposal of $50,000 to help the Benson Theater. I know that you've been severely impacted by the COVID pandemic, as have all performance areas in our city, but you've weathered the storm and come through and have provided a forum for a diverse and eclectic number of performances that I've attended, and I haven't been able to come to them all, but I try, because it's really a credit to you, Amy Ryan, that this exists at all, and your hard work has paid off with dividends that are hard to calculate for Benson and for the entire community in terms of the Benson Theater. If you could just give us a quick overview of what's up now so that people that are watching can enjoy, as I have, and I'm sure that my colleagues have, the offerings at the Benson Theater during the holiday season and in the new year.
Thank you very much. I'd love to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the support that you've given, and specifically to Jim, to advocate for the urban community of Benson and North Omaha. We have had this year over 300 events and over 14,000 people come through. However, the impact of COVID is truly a very real reality for us. We just completed a lovely program partnering with Bridget St. Bridget for Holiday Lights, a theater production that we've done. But we're really a shared community space open to over 165 community partners that we have and growing. So the programming is educational and creative-based programming through other nonprofit organizations. And really our mission is to help advocate for all of those. The impact of COVID has certainly helped us understand that to impact our community positively, we do need free events so that we can really serve the neighborhood and invite everyone into Benson. And that's the programming, and I really do appreciate all of you for your support. Happy to entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Amy, if you could, just because people are watching and this would give them an opportunity to tune in, how can they go online and find out the upcoming offerings of the Benson Theater?
The website is Benson Theater, and that's re.org. And so you can certainly find our calendar of events happening there. We already have over 100 events booked for next year, and lots of work to do. We're moving into our third year of programming and operations. You can also go to any social media site and see what we're up to.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Again, thank you for all you've done on this. This would not exist without you. You're an incredible woman and a real asset to our community. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Merry Christmas.
Is there a motion and a second? Dan?
Well, so move.
Motion by Commissioner Kavanaugh, second by Commissioner Boyle. Please vote. You're talking on this item?
Please.
Go ahead.
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. Thank this young lady for the work she does. They do a lot of good work, and I'm not against the work that they do. But what I am against is I look through this agenda and add up the dollars that are going to nonprofits. I'm going to declare myself a nonprofit. Can I have $50,000 today?
Hey,
Appreciate your
please
work too, Jim.
ask the
I'm not
crowd to be
criticizing
quiet.
you. I'm criticizing the use of taxpayer dollars all over town. We have another venue similar to that that's on Dodge Street right there at 50th. Why do we need another one? I used to go up to Benson Theater when they did entertainment. And maybe you people should meet there instead of spending money here, because they do civic work, but we're not always, every one of us, on board with the type of civic work they're doing. And I'll save most of this for the legislative issues, but I don't understand why 2 weeks in a row, this body is so quick in a hurry to disband that if you're 5 minutes late, you don't know where the hell you are on the agenda. And you still haven't fixed the sound system. You don't set at the microphones. You read it awful fast, Chris. It's hard
Larry,
to tell.
I need you to get back on the topic.
I've been doing this since 2014, and I'm telling you that when a citizen comes in off the street that's not used to this, slam dam, thank you, ma'am, it's over before they even sit down.
Anybody else? There's a motion on this item? Please.
Luis Jimenez, 2709 Dewey Avenue. I support the funding. Thank you, Commissioner, for supporting the theater. It's not in your district, is it? I don't think it is. Oh. Okay, so my issue is with the resolution. The first whereas says, whereas Douglas County received $110.8 million from the federal government pursuant to American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. And then you go on to the other whereases. The money is actually coming from the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. I think that's important that you put that in there, because ARPA is many things. It's extension of benefits, of taxes, regulatory policies, and so forth. So this money that you got is under guidance in the provision of the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, SLFRF. And I try to ask the deputy administrator and the finance director, like, where is this money coming from in ARPA? It took a while. I got the answer right away from Bernard Endebosch from the city, because he said, I'm pretty sure that our money came from the same place in ARPA. And so he gave me this coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, SLFRF, and he said that all contracts and all awards, all documents dealing with these funds state as such that it's from the SLFRF. So finding out that information, I got the guidelines. So I'm going to review. I think that when you deal with this money, you get a lot of misinformation at the podium. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to clarify what this money is, whence it comes, and what it's doing, so that people watching, people here, don't have any reservations as to how you're dealing with the money. And I agree that Benson Theater suffered from the pandemic because of just being a theater, right? People gather. One of the things that you weren't supposed to do during the pandemic is gather in large numbers. And hopefully they use it to respond to those conditions. Maybe a high-tech HVAC system for the theater. But to keep them operating and open, that's also important to use this money for. Thank you.
Any other comments? There's a motion, a second. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
I'd like to entertain a motion to recess the Board of Commissioners and roll call the Board of Equalization. Motion by Commissioner Morgan, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Friend. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
We'll now be back at the top of the order and roll call for the Douglas County Board of Equalization. Mr. Clerk.
Commissioner Borgeson is absent. Commissioner Boyle. Here. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Here. Commissioner Friend. Here. Commissioner Garcia. Here. Commissioner Morgan. Here. Mr. Chair.
Here. Item A is approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. Item B is to call for a meeting and set Tuesday, January 9th, 2004 as the date for the hearing on the next assessment and certified corrections. What's the will of the board? Motion by Friend, second by Boyle to approve A and B. Please vote.
Motion passes 5-0. Commissioner Kavanaugh is absent.
Item C, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on Board of Equalization-related items. Board of Equalization-related items not listed on the agenda. Are there any citizens' comments?
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. I did send you an email. I'm still looking for some sort of apologies for remarks that were made to me a few weeks ago by this body at the as I was protesting tax exemption for an Islamic center. I said nothing that was mean or hateful, but I was called mean and hateful. And I think the people that were engaged in that should apologize. I am going to submit something to you here that I started way back in 2014 following an organization that wanted to open conversations with Muslim people here in our country, to welcome them, but to also let them know that this is our culture, not the culture of Islam. They're welcome, but they swear allegiance to our country, not to their culture. 2014. I have criticized Muslim doctrines many times, et cetera, et cetera.
Larry,
okay, thank you, Rod. I am complaining about the Open Meetings Act procedure here. This is the second week in a row that I'm only 5 minutes late. I heard you say nothing about citizens' comments for the commissioners. Bam, 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 you don't speak loud enough. You don't sit at the microphone.
Thank you.
You are violating the spirit of the Open Meetings Act. I've asked for this meeting to talk about that many times. You're out of order, sir, not me.
Thank you. Anybody else? With that, we'll move on to resolutions. Items D, E, F, and G. G and H can be taken together. Is there a motion to approve items D, E, F, G, and H? Motion by Commissioner Boyle. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Friend. Mike, can I ask you, I put it on here, but I should have asked. Item G. It seemed like it's late. they've gotten that before. I'm tempted to request to ask to lay it over to notify them, because I don't know if they know this.
Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor, Register of Deeds Office. Commissioner, I'd love to help you with item G. Our office doesn't do vehicles. That's a treasurer thing.
Okay. If I can ask for, I guess, unanimous consent to remove G, I'm gonna ask that it be laid over to the 9th. If we can. Okay. I'll just say if nobody's contesting, are you from Treasurer's Office?
Yes.
Oh, please.
Kylie Cunningham, Treasurer's Office. We do let them know when they that they have what their time frame is, and then we do let this customer know that it is up for denial as well.
They've been, okay,
They are notified, yes, and they do get a one-time exception,
okay.
and they've already gotten that as well.
They have,
Yep.
okay, never mind. Then if I can ask for the original motion to stand. Alrighty. We do have a motion to approve items D through H. Please vote. Thank you.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item I is a protest of CAC 23439. That is you, Mr. Goodwillie.
Merry Christmas.
Sorry, I'm just so used to seeing you, I called you.
No. People make that mistake about motor vehicles. They assume because we do other exemptions, we do vehicles too, so it's no big deal. I'm just glad there was somebody here from the treasurer to clear that up. Mike Goodwillie, Douglas County Assessor, Register of Deeds, Deeds Office. Item I is the result of us putting some value on a property that had previously been owned by a sanitary and improvement district, went to a private individual. We set a value, we recommended a value. The board approved that value. The taxpayer, as is their right, filed a protest. And we suggested that the clerk refer it to a referee to review, the same as any other kind of evaluation protest. And the referee has a recommendation. I think there's a draft resolution there. While we aren't entirely on board with the referee's recommendation, at this point, we aren't going to object to you adopting it. If we want to take it up further, the remedy is to go to the Tax Equalization Review Commission. So I think you've got a referee recommendation, and I think there may even be a resolution drafted for you. But the clerk's office may know more about that than I.
Okay. Any comment on item A? Seeing none, what's the will of the board? Motion by Commissioner Morgan, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Boyle.
This is to
Approve
approve the referee recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
Please vote.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, do you want that include adjournment?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, give me one moment here. Okay, thank you. Motion passes 6-0.
We'll now call to order the Douglas County Board of Corrections meeting. Roll call.
Commissioner Borgeson is absent. Commissioner Boyle? Commissioner Kavanaugh? Commissioner Friend? Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Morgan? Mr. Chair.
Here. Item 1, approval of the minutes of the Board of Corrections meeting held Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Boyle, seconded by Commissioner Friend. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item 2, citizens' comments. This is an opportunity to comment on Board of Corrections related items. Board of Corrections related items not listed on the agenda. Are there any citizens' comments?
Louis Jimenez, 2709 Dewey Avenue. Good morning. I wanted to speak to you about the construction project at corrections. I'm going to propose some drastic changes to the project. The first being that you get a detailed analysis about repurposing one of the wings or enclosures at corrections to accommodate the mental health addition project. Actually just be the project where you're revamping the space to house inmates that are suffering from mental illness or who are needing care for mental health. So that's one ask. The other one is that you also look at limiting or reducing the scale of the project as an addition over the parking lot. Can you put it up? Thanks. Look at that. Got some numbers up. Item A here is construction costs. New construction is 29,000 feet at 22 million. Renovation and links are at 3,400 feet, and outdoor recreation areas are at 4,315 square feet. I propose that you scale this down through any of these items. Probably the new construction. Yesterday I went to the parking, and it's enormous. It's a big area. So the level that they want to build, it's a big space. And the plan is to provide a service for the inmates who are suffering from mental health. Do you need this scale? That's what the parking, look at that. That is enormous. So my proposal is to reduce the actual new construction square footage. And this would be the first floor, the second floor, but the first floor for the addition. It's got all these modules. And then the second floor has this space. Since this is the second floor, I imagine that this is all new construction. So you can get rid of the second floor and reduce your new construction square footage. You have space here for a dormitory for men, a dormitory for women, and then private units. So that's what I have to say. I did speak about the ARPA funding earlier, so I won't belabor it. So thank you for your time.
Any other comments? Hold up, Mike. Oh, you got public comment. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Commissioners, Mike Myers, Director of Corrections. This is not for my board report. This is just to correct the numbers that you saw. I don't believe are.
Don't we have a rule that we're not supposed to respond to citizens' comments?
He's not,
Hasn't that been the policy here for some time now?
we can't. If somebody from the public wants to come, they can come do it. Hold on. I don't see that as an issue.
Tracy, York County Attorney's Office. Unique question. We've not answered that before, but I believe it's the board that's prohibited, and I think we've had other people talk during citizen comments. But I'll gladly take another look at that, Commissioner, and follow up with you.
Yeah, I don't think it's appropriate for one of our employees to stand in and counter public comments. If he wants to address this during his own comment as a employee of this board, I think that's okay. But I think it's a distinction without a difference to say we can't respond, but our employees can respond. That seems to me to be
We have,
not very logical.
from my decision, we have, on circumstances, board members have stepped up and used their citizens' rights. The director is a citizen, so if he puts that hat on, he's fair to comment. So
I'm not
gonna
sure
allow
that
him
the
to.
director's a resident of Douglas
The,
County.
So, Teresa, you're at County Attorney's Office.
If-
Mike,
if
do you
the-
have anything in your report regarding the jail, the expansion possibly?
I do not.
You do not. Probably the more conservative approach would be not to respond today, and then I'll circle back with you and with the board with regards to the question.
Commissioners,
Wait.
It's ridiculous.
My decision on this is if a person, there have been citizens that reside outside of Douglas County that have come up here and have spoken on matters. Unless he is told in another capacity not to, if a person comes up under the comment period, that person can make his or her comment. So that's where we're going.
Commissioners, if it would help, Patrick Bloomingdale, County Administrator. I'm a citizen of Douglas County, and commissioners have gotten up and spoken as a citizen at this podium. So the only purpose for him to get up today is to clarify that the numbers that were just provided to you are not accurate. The design that he provided was not accurate. Those might have been old numbers, but those are not the accurate numbers, and we can go over those numbers at a later time, but he just wanted to point out that those were not accurate.
Luis, okay. For the record, citizens of Bellevue have come up here. Mike, if you want to state your comment, you can.
Patrick basically just said what I was going to say, was just that those are not the most recent numbers. Those are not the current drawings.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments?
Larry Storr, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. Mike, the mistake you made was not coming down as a citizen. You should have come up here as a citizen. I remember years ago when Maureen's father and Mr. Kavanaugh used to come down here as a citizen. And there was fireworks occasionally. But he didn't know that because you don't tell him the rules, do you? This is the second week in a row where you mumble-jumbled everything, so I thought the commissioners' meeting was already done, and I was only 5 minutes late. Other citizens, that's probably why there's none of them here. Now, on this matter, I want to present to you, I think I sent it in an email also. This is a copy of an email. It's regarding one of the other speakers here today. Go back to about 2014 when the juvenile justice
Larry,
topic was really, really hot. Excuse me?
Is this a Board of Corrections?
Don't interrupt me, sir. This
No,
is my citizen
Is
time.
this a Board of
All right.
Corrections?
Mr. Luis Ramirez is probably still a reporter.
Listen.
He's not acknowledging that when it comes to this body, and he
That
should.
is not a Board of Corrections.
He is
matter.
reporting for somebody or to somebody. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? We'll now move on to the report
Has
of the
to
director.
do with testimony he gave up here at this microphone under this topic.
If it's not a matter for the Corrections Board, thank you. Director Myers, you're up.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. My apologies for that. You have before you my report for the month of November. Following the fourth month of the fiscal year, we were over $2 million under budget, $2,214,311 to be precise. There was $430,409 spent on overtime. That was a significant decrease of over $230,000 from the previous month, despite the fact that we continue to train all of our staff on mental health first aid. And our records department processed approximately $900,000 in bond payments. Enclosure number 2, Community Corrections and Reentry Services. The Sanction Center and Transitional Discharge Center placed a total of 14 individuals into community corrections and saved a combined 80 bed days in the jail. Work release admitted 18 individuals, and house arrest admitted 34. The Reentry Assistance Program admitted 27 individuals. 10 individuals were referred to intensive outpatient treatment, and 3 individuals achieved a GED. Reentry services and therapeutic communities, 66 individuals were admitted to therapeutic community housing units. 9 individuals were referred to our intensive outpatient treatment program that's operated by the Community Mental Health Center, and 1 individual achieved a GED. Pretrial services, 273 individuals were placed on pretrial release. To my knowledge, at least as far back as records that I have access to, that is a record high. 1,301 individuals were supervised over the course of a month on pretrial release. That also, to the records that I have access to, is a record high. And 509 individuals participated in 24/7 sobriety, a significant increase. 166 individuals were supervised via GPS monitors. That is also a record high since we began that program. And 3,739 jail bed days were saved. Theoretically, the savings that pretrial release generated to Douglas County in terms of reduced detention costs was $448,680 in November alone. There are many new graphs and charts in enclosure number 2 that track our program data and performance, and I encourage the commissioners to review those. Enclosure number 3, compliance. Our American Correctional Association audit began on October 30th and was completed on November 3rd. Both the jail and community corrections passed with flying colors and with high praise from the auditors. Both achieved 100% on mandatory standards, while the jail achieved 98% and community corrections achieved 99% on non-mandatory standards. To be accredited, facilities must achieve 100% of the mandatory standards and at least 90% of the non-mandatory standards. The final step in our accreditation process, our hearing in front of the Commission on Accreditation, will take place at the American Correctional Association Winter Conference in Washington, D.C., the first week of January. I wish to commend Acting Captain of Compliance Chris Sweeney and all of our staff for a job well done. Enclosure number 4, personnel. 7 officers below the rank of sergeant left employment in November. As of November 30th, we were 98% staffed among correctional officer ranks, and we are targeting January 8th, 2024 to begin our next academy. 2 officers were promoted to Correctional Officer 2. Congratulations to Officer Tim O'Malley for celebrating his 20th anniversary to service to Douglas County. Congratulations to Faith Sorensen for receiving a life-saving award. Faith is a Correctional Officer 1. And numerous officers received commendations for meritorious services. Enclosure number 5, population. There are 1,231 admissions and there are 1,239 releases. Our high count was 1,108 and our low count was 1,033. Our average daily population was 1,063. That was a decrease of 21. There were 92 custodial sanctioned bed days. That is an increase. The U.S. Marshal population decreased. The felony pretrial population decreased. The misdemeanor pretrial population remained stable. Probation violations remained stable. 19% of our population was between the ages of 18 and 24. 66% of our population were minorities. And 15% of our population were female. 18% of our population were homeless or nearly homeless. Enclosure number 6, medical. There are 1,086 intake screenings. There are 350 health and physical assessments. Inmates were sent out 22 times for emergency medical care. 7 of those were by 911. There were 5 hospitalizations, which resulted in 35 hospital admissions, which resulted in 35 days of hospitalization. And there were 46 off-site medical appointments. Enclosure number 7, mental health. There were 133 initial psychiatric assessments. There were 231 initial mental health assessments. There were 105 mental health infirmary placements. Those are primarily suicide precautions. There were 147 individuals placed on drug and alcohol withdrawal protocols. There were 3 referrals to the Board of Mental Health and 3 transfers to long-term psychiatric facilities, namely the Lincoln Regional Center. And 48% of our population was diagnosed with a mental illness, tying the highest level on record. Enclosure number 8, security operations and honor guard. Our crisis negotiation team was deployed 4 times. They were all in conjunction with our CERT team. Issues addressed included 2 mandatory showers for severely mentally ill individuals, an individual refusing to attend court, and round-the-clock deployment which ended November 8th to work with a highly volatile individual with numerous self-harm and violent outbursts. Our correctional emergency response team, or CERT, was deployed 6 times, as 4 of those were in conjunction with our crisis negotiation team. High security searches of housing units were where potentially dangerous contraband was suspected to be present were completed. There were 14 searches of housing units conducted. Contraband received modified items for tattooing, modified items to create a spark, burnt paper, stripped headphone wires. Our honor guard was deployed 5 times in November, twice for retired DCSO deputy funerals, visitation and funeral of an active duty Bellevue police officer, and for our own academy graduation. Enclosure number 9, staff development, wellness, and retention. 48 individuals interviewed for correctional officer positions, and there were 61 applications received. Mental health first aid for all staff who haven't previously had this training continued in November. Narcan training for all correctional officers was completed, and all officers are now outfitted with Narcan on their duty belts. 6 staff members used the Wellness and Retention Office for assistance for the first time, and 46 staff members were referred to the peer support team. And 2 staff members were referred to external mental health resources. Other noteworthy items: unfortunately, we had an individual smuggle in a substance that another individual ingested, causing a medical emergency. While a team of individuals deserve and will receive recognition for their response to the emergency that occurred at DCDC, I want to acknowledge 2 individuals in particular who provided critical life-saving intervention and prevented the death of an incarcerated individual. Officer Joel Sharman and WellPath nurse Emily Waltman, who performed CPR and saved this individual's life. I am grateful to both of these individuals and all who responded for their quick and decisive life-saving actions. Deputy Director Amber Redmond represented the Department of Corrections at the launch of the Jail and Justice Support Center in Washington, D.C. DCDC was an invited guest of the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the National Institute of Corrections is one of 12 agencies nationally selected to be present because of our track record of success and nationally recognized expertise. With that, I'm ready for your questions.
Thanks for this, Mike. Just to run through some of the metrics, the average daily population at 1,063 is down 21 month to month. If we go to page 40, we see that the year going back, we've kind of stabilized, it looks like. Coming in at November 22, we were 1,065. In November 23, we're 1,063, with fluctuations, not that great, maybe 100 or less overall. It seems to have stabilized right around about 1,000. Is that correct?
1,000 to 1,100,
Yeah.
that range. Yeah.
So, maybe going into the new year, maybe we can address this in the next report, is a little bit of a look back, because I think there has been a positive trend based on a lot of the programs that you've initiated. If we were to look back 2 years or 5 years, we would see a much higher average daily population, isn't that right?
We would, Commissioner.
And that's progress, so kudos to you and your staff for doing that. The staff is another kind of good news story where we've struggled to maintain 100% of authorized level, and currently we are at 97% authorized at 492 and on hand at 477, with the critical component of those CO1s, the correction officers, the line officers, who are authorized at 349, and we're actually at 338. It was 97%. And that's been a significant improvement under your directorship, so I want to commend you on recruitment and retention. I think is a big part of that, and we've beefed up the compensation package, and I think that contributes, across the board. Less stress for people. People want to do kind of a regular 40-hour week and have a life, and this is a very, very stressful job. And so making sure that comes in at that point is good for the mental health of our correction officers.
Absolutely.
It also impacts that overtime costs that you show its steady trend down. And maybe when we come back in the new year, we can look at that going back, because I think there's been real progress there, hasn't there?
There has. It's fluctuated up and down for various reasons over the course of time, but we should see a pretty kind of a leveling out of that as we go forward.
Right.
And decrease.
The demographics, again, come in troublingly high on a majority-minority population of people incarcerated in our correction center. 65.68% majority-minority. And I think that's kind of up. Memory serves me month to month. And again, if in the new year we could get a look back, I think that's a chronic, troubling statistic for a overwhelmingly Caucasian community to have an overwhelmingly minority incarcerated population. Maybe these three things in the new year would give us a really good kind of gut check on where we are going into 2024. If you could address that, that'd be great. I have a couple of quick questions. On page 15, regarding the house arrest, the graph here, the one at the top of the page, admissions, release, and revocations, shows a little bit of a decrease in admissions. I'm looking year to year.
1 minute.
Sorry?
1 minute.
Okay. I'll probably have to come back on this. From 67 in January to, I think we just posted 34. I guess my question would be, why do we have that downward trend?
I don't know that I have a good answer for that, Commissioner. Sometimes community corrections numbers, it's a smaller pool. They can vary a little bit, and it affects the trends pretty, more dramatically than a larger program would. I do think, however, even our pretrial program and so forth sometimes impacts that, because people they're doing their supervision pretrial, in the community, rather than potentially, sitting in jail and maybe going on to house arrest after the fact.
Right. And that kind of goes to my next question on page 29, and we're going to run out of time, so we'll come back and do this. Regarding the pretrial services monthly report. Yep.
Commissioner Friend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike, as always, thanks for the report. On one of the things that occurs pretty consistently anymore is a discussion when you go back to enclosure 7, the mental health issues. Initial psychiatric assessments, 133. Initial mental health assessments, 231. Mental health infirmary placements and suicide precautions. Suicide precautions, 105. Individuals placed on drug and alcohol withdrawal protocols, 147. Substance abuse issues. Referrals to community-based mental health services. Board of Mental Health referrals, 3. Long-term psychiatric facility, 3. The reason I repeat all these after Mike just gave them to us, at the end, 48% of our population was diagnosed with a mental illness, tying the highest level on record. Okay, I don't consider myself a drama guy, but those numbers and those statistics are telling. On any given day, we have 1,100 people. Mike, on any given day, we have 1,100 people in our facility. That would equate to approximately a ballpark, 500 individuals right now, currently, 500 individuals that have been identified as possessing a verifiable mental health or substance abuse issue. Correct or incorrect?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, Mike. The pandemic obviously dramatically exacerbated the acute numbers. We know that too. It's easy to identify Douglas County Corrections as a managing authority over a county jail. We've been doing that for years. We can easily identify it as such. Our corrections officers are trained to deal with that. They know how to handle a county jail. We're the largest one in the state. But it is important to note, it's key to note, that per capita, again, this is my guess, I'm going to look it up after we're done here. Per capita, this corrections facility in Douglas County is already the largest provider of behavioral health and mental health care in the state. Let me say that one more time. Our corrections facility in Douglas County is the largest provider of mental health care in the state of Nebraska per capita. Now, if Tecumseh or Lincoln has more people that they're delivering that care to, the per capita number still exists. I'm going to find that out. But the bottom line is, we've been arguing for the last 5 months, to the best of my knowledge, about how to deal with the acute care and the mental health issues at our facility. Do these numbers, do they resonate? We can't take those 500 people and move them somewhere else. Do you really think for 1 second that Boys Town's going to take a percentage of those folks? Forget about Boys Town. Let's talk about some of the other good, hard-working 501c3s in our community. Let's talk about those doing very good work. Do you think on a C shift, when a cop drives in and picks up an individual who's either violating a serious law or violating a minor law, and they bring them downtown and they've been diagnosed with that type of situation, do you think there's anybody that's going to take that individual other than...
1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Other than the corrections facility that we have and the professionals that we have downtown? Look, I'm not trying to lecture. What I am saying is, and I said this to Mike earlier on, diplomacy is the art of telling somebody to go to hell and they ask you for directions. I'm wearing out my idea of diplomacy. I think people need to understand what the statistics look like. Clearly, we have people coming up and arguing about statistics about space. What I'm talking about are statistics, human beings being the statistics, the human beings that need help. I've never been in this business. I am in the business of understanding what policy indicates based on the type of help that our community needs. I've done it for years. And if we do not get our hands wrapped around this is a lecture. We don't get our hands wrapped around this, I'll tell you later. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other board comments? Commissioner Cavanaugh.
So just to get back to where we left off there, Mike, we had the pretrial numbers on page 29, which show number of individuals released to pretrial supervision pretty much in the 200s per month. January was 214, and November, the latest one, was 273, and they all range kind of between those two numbers, with a year-to-date of 2,674. I point this out because this is a huge number compared to our population, as indicated here, between 1,000 and 1,100. And the savings as a result of that are, I think, really, really significant. They are pointed out here, let me see, where we have on page 32, and this is a metric that should really ring out. Bed days saved by pretrial GPS. And that, for 1 month in November, was 3,739 bed days. How much is a bed day?
We currently calculate that at $120.
So it's 3,739 times 100 and?
But times 120. And I actually, that number is, it's around I believe, because I highlighted that. And I want to caution that I always call this a hypothetical, because I can't, most of those people on pretrial GPS would have stayed in the jail without this program.
Yeah.
I can't tell you one for one. So I always qualify this stat that it's a kind of a hypothetical savings. And if I can find my right, $448,680 would have been based that
In a month?
In a month.
Yeah. I mean, that's real savings. I mean,
Correct.
you can quibble about the number, I guess, but I think probably 129 is on the conservative side, if I had to opine. But that's a huge savings, and kudos to you and your staff for, not only realizing that, but helping to quantify it. I mean, these are things that, if we don't see this type of a metric spelled out here, it's going to probably cause or just kind of go by the boards without us knowing what it was. Finally, on page 32, this is the sobriety admissions and releases. And I'd like you to expand a little bit on this, the 24/7 sobriety admissions and releases. And, they vary in the 60s or 70s in terms of admissions, and it looks like 40s to 60s in terms of releases. Tell us just a little bit about what is the 24/7 sobriety admissions and releases?
So the 24/7 sobriety program, if you will, is a condition that a judge can order as a term of pretrial release supervision. You may be on alcohol monitoring protocols, drug monitoring protocols, or both. So basically, these numbers are a reflection of how many individuals who were placed on pretrial release also had the condition of drug and alcohol monitoring of the condition of their bond.
So I think it's pretty generally recognized in the medical community that drug and alcohol addiction is a medical condition. It's a disease. And, people who come into our justice system with drug and alcohol problems often have offenses that they were apprehended on that are related to their drug and alcohol use. And so these types of metrics give us some idea in the population of 1,000 or 1,100 of the number of people that we are dealing with who are actually presenting with a disease that may have some criminal justice component to it, whether it's drunk driving or possession of a controlled substance. That's a significant subset of the corrections population, is that right?
It is, and these are just the people who got out on pretrial. There are additional people who don't get out, who remain in our custody.
Right. And there's a program now, it's recently initiated, and I'm sure it's in here. Do you know where we could find that?
Yes.
The program
Time.
that we're trying to deal with in-house?
Time.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Mike, I think you're good.
Thanks for this, Mike.
You are commenting on this, please?
Louis Jimenez, 2709 Dewey Avenue. I understand that 46 or so, 49, I don't remember the number, percent of the population is suffering from mental health issues. And they, corrections is not helping their situation. But they've committed a crime, and if they're criminals, then going to corrections is an appropriate place for them. I agree with you, Mr. Chair, and the chairperson, that corrections is not a place to be receiving mental health rehabilitation services or being diagnosed or be treated for it. However, when when you identify $50 million for the county's mental health issues as a service that you could spend money on, you identified the county corrections. And I agree that corrections was a hotspot for the pandemic. So the idea of separating populations makes sense as a response to the virus. And during the pandemic, mental health became an issue as well. So I'm not saying that these individuals, inmates, shouldn't be treated, shouldn't have a facility for them, but they can be helped over time. Whether going to corrections and being identified and then having service, being connected to services afterwards would be ideal. But I just think that the facility that you're planning on in building corrections is a response to the mental health issue and to the pandemic. But I disagree that the space is a statistics. It's not statistics. The space that you identified for the project is a design. It's not statistics. So you have control over design. I'm saying scale it back, scale it down, so that there is support for the correctional personnel at corrections, but they're not. The county corrections personnel are not mental health experts, and I don't want to insult anybody, but if your priority is to house criminals, that's what your priority should be, and let us as a community work on the mental health issue. Thank you.
Anyone else comment on the director's report?
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, 68132. I have an additional page to add to my earlier comments.
Are your
Those
comments
are all
related
in-
to correction?
I'm sorry?
Your comments related to correction?
Would you turn on his microphone, please? I cannot hear him.
Are your comments related to corrections?
Absolutely, sir. That's why I came down here. Is this not a public hearing? Yes.
No, it's not a
Thank
public
you.
hearing, but it's a.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's my understanding that during citizen comments, you cannot or will not respond unless you want to. But during public hearings, you can respond without lawyers telling you that maybe you shouldn't. Open Meetings Act, that's why I'm up here. way back when the Juvenile Justice Center started being heated debate, Mr. Jimenez and Mr. Dwayne Lamont, the last name slips my mind, wrote an article about it, criticizing things going on, publishing under the name Noise, but also probably the Flatwater Free Press. These are citizen newspapers.
I'm going to determine that's not a Board of Corrections matter.
I'm telling you that this man, you should ask him some questions here today because he gave his own report. Stop interrupting me, sir.
I'm asking you to keep it on the Board.
He gave his own report on the Department of Corrections.
But
he's counteracting what your employee said at this. Thank you. And please turn up or set up to your microphone. But you need to ask him some questions. You can legally do that.
Thank you.
I'm not a reporter. I'm a citizen. You're violating my rights again.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, did you ask the sheriff's deputy to sit behind me? Because I'll surrender right now if you want to do that.
If you have,
I think he works for the sheriff.
Thank you. Anybody else? With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Corrections meeting and reconvene the Board of Commissioners meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Friend, second by Commissioner Boyle. Please vote.
One moment, please. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Clerk, do you need to roll call the Board of Commissioners meeting?
I typically do. Motion
Okay.
passes 6-0.
Roll call for the Board of Commissioners reconvene.
Commissioner Borgeson is absent. Commissioner Boyle? Commissioner Kavanaugh? Commissioner Friend?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Morgan? Mr. Chair.
Here, item 1 is minutes and claims. Letter A is approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. Item B, approval of claims submitted for payment and processed through Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. What's the will of the board? Oh, sorry, I forgot. Item C, approval of resolution authorizing the clerk to make certain payments while the board is an adjournment sine die. Sorry. That motion by Commissioner Boyle to approve A, B, and C. Second by Commissioner Morgan. Seeing no questions, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item 2, consent agenda. Before we begin, item H has been asked to be removed from the consent agenda. So with that being removed, I'd ask for approval of items A through N. Motion by Commissioner Boyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Friend. Questions or concerns? Seeing none, please vote.
Consent agenda less item H approved 6-0.
Item 4 is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to comment on Board of Commissioners related items. Board of Commissioners related items not listed on the agenda. Are there any citizens' comments?
I am setting, Ken Anderson, Craig Street in Irvington. I'm setting the context for my notice of tort claim. In New Hampshire in 2020, in November 2020 election, AccuVote machines tried to steal about 300 votes from every Republican candidate in this specific race. And not sure of the race, but it was one of the races on the ballot there in what city was that? Wyndham. And something about the numbers there indicates more than just one problem is happening, not just the folding. Ballots were folded, mail-in ballots were folded, creating some artifacts in there. And the folding of those ballots is the sole blame. All the blame is being laid on that, and it's obvious that that's not the problem here. You're going to see that the problem is the machines. Intervened, hand in the cookie jar type of situation. But in this, and I will be sending this email to you, so you'll be getting this. In this link down here that I'm pointing at, there's a interview going on, and in one moment in that interview, Harry Hursty, who is a white hat hacker, if you will, what they call an ethical hacker, says New Hampshire is using a principle called ballot rotation. So not any place on a ballot has a political bias because the political parties between the jurisdictions are randomly organized. So on your ballot, between voter to voter, no voter has the same order, or at least they're randomized order. Also, if the same candidates are in multiple jurisdiction ballots, then the candidate orders are randomly organized. So even if this would be somewhere else, and he's talking about a specific race that was recounted and found to have some problems here. It would have no political bias because everything is randomized between jurisdictions. I point that out and go on to what the problem is here. There's a race where a recount showed each of the 4 winning Republicans. There were 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and it was a vote for 4 race. The 4 Republicans, all 4 of them had more votes than any of the 4 Democrats in the machines. And then the Democrat who had the most votes called for a recount. And this is what happened. The recount showed each of the 4 winning Republicans picking up about 300 votes. It's more like exactly 300 votes. And St. Laurent, who was the leading Democrat, losing 99 votes, dropping her losing margin from just 24 votes to more than 400 votes because 300 votes got added to. Here's some of the numbers. These are the Republican candidates. These are the Democrat candidates in the bottom. 297 difference between machine count and hand count. 298 difference, 299 difference, and 303 difference. That's an error of 1% from 300. The machines subtracted 300 votes from every one of the Republican candidates. That's not an artifact by folding the ballots. As I just explained, the names rotate. Those folding of the ballots artifacts are not going to target one party like this. And evidently the machines decided to try and weight the top Democrat, see if they could flip the race there on that one race. That's what it looks like. And we don't use the AccuVotes in Douglas County, right? We use ES&S rather than Dominion. But what are we doing to prevent this from being able to happen? And by the way, if you were to search on Google trying to find comments on this, it's censored. You're not going to find anything but the party line.
Tom, any other public comment?
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha 68132. I've got just a short thing to read, and then I'll submit a copy, which I may have already emailed Dan, but I have been a regular at the Civic Center since about 2018. I am part of the Heartland Patriots Study Group that studies Hillsdale College online courses, citizenship, American history. I graduated from Abraham Lincoln High School and Dana College. I have always loved history, my country, and now I am very upset that those that we elected and trusted have forsaken us, and we have lost our unique constitutional republic, one nation under God. Few people comprehend this or discuss it, not even in these chambers. You need to wake up and act, or we will find ourselves in the middle of a French Revolution style thing. Because we are engaged in pretty serious times right now. And it's getting worse, and the public is beginning to get their backs up. This email does not address the Islam-Israel war that's going on, or the causes, nor the illegals that are swarming our borders, no doubt with a lot of terrorists. We don't talk about that here either. Common sense would tell us that the superior magistrates are the county sheriffs, as parliamentary and historical preference law tells us. But where are they? They're not enforcing the Open Meetings Act. I don't know if he knows that his deputy purposely came down and sat behind me today. That's kind of threatening for a citizen. Now, the rest of this has to do with Mr. Robert Borer and elections. You heard some evidence from that gentleman that there is something awry, but there are no elected officials who will take that information and question it, analyze it, and discuss it, because they are denying it all the way down from the Secretary of State. You people are possibly dupes of the Secretary of State because he's not been honest with you or the election commissioner. So it's time for you to tell him to come down here along with the Attorney General and explain election security and why they do not answer any of the questions from Robert J. Borer. His name is in here. A link to his things about the election are in here. He makes a lot more clear sense than that gentleman did. I know you're busy and you're reading your stuff as you're listening to me, so you didn't catch the meaning of that. But the machines and the software steal the votes. You can make the machines do what you want them to do. Paying attention to the electric car thing? They're even going to take your driving away from you and let the machine do it, for Pete's sake. How do you think that works? Software. Somebody built that machine, didn't they? Robert J. Borer needs to be up here instead of me as a presenter to discuss the Open Meetings Act and the elections. Now, I tried to have a discussion with the Open Meetings Act quite a long time ago with young lady that sits up there that represents Douglas County Attorney. Oh boy, I couldn't come up with enough proof because I didn't have standing. Excuse me? Citizens have more standing than she does. You work for us, not for yourself. Okay? And he works for the citizens. Citizens pay the sheriff's salary too. And he's the larger magistrate, the sheriff is. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comment?
Excuse me, Larry.
Welcome back.
nothing exciting. Luis Jimenez, 2709 Dewey Avenue. I just want to let you know that I'm wearing a mask because at work, the managers are getting COVID. One owner got COVID, and then the other manager got COVID, so I don't want to risk it. It's a health issue for the county, and then so I want to talk about the health department, actually your board, determined that racism is a public health issue, and I want to talk about racism in this world. I have some comments from Heather Cox Richardson. It seems that former President Donald Trump is aligning his supporters with a global far-right movement to destroy democracy. On Saturday in Durham, New Hampshire, Trump echoed Nazi leader Adolf Hitler's attack on immigrants, saying that they are poisoning the blood of our country. Although two of his three wives were immigrants, and quoted Russian President Vladimir Putin's attacks on American democracy. Trump went on to praise North Korean autocratic leader Kim Jong-un and ally himself with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, the darling of the American right wing, who has destroyed Hungary's democracy and replaced it with a dictatorship. Trump called Orban the man who can save the Western world. Dr. Sarah Riccardi Schwartz, a professor of the religion and anthropology at Northeastern University, explained in the conversation what Trump is talking about. Autocrats like Orban and Putin and budding autocrats like Trump are building a global movement by fighting back against the expansions of rights to women, minorities, and LGBTQ+ people. Russian leaders have been cracking down on LGBTQ+ rights for a decade with the help of the Russian Orthodox Church, claiming that they are protecting traditional values. This vision of heteronormativity rewrites the real history of human sexuality, but it is powerful in this moment. Orban insists that immigrants ruin the purity of a country and has undermined women's rights. Schwartz explains that this rhetoric appeals to those in far-right movements around the world. In the United States, family values became tied to patriotism after World War II, when Chinese and Soviet communists appeared to be erasing traditional gender roles. Those people defined as anti-family, LGBTQ+ people and women who challenge patriarchy seem to be undermining society. Now, as dictators like Putin and Orban promise to take away LGBTQ+ rights, hurt immigrants, and return power to white men, they seem to many to be protecting traditional society. In the United States, that undercurrent has created a movement of people who are willing to overthrow democracy if it means reinforcing their traditional values. Christian nationalists believe that the secular values of democracy are destroying Christianity and traditional values. They want to get rid of LGBTQ rights, feminism, immigration, and the public schools they believe teach such values. And if that means handing power to a dictator who promises to restore their vision of a traditional society, they're in. It is an astonishing rejection of everything the United States has always stood for. The White House today that was when I got this email, to Trump's speech. White House Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates said, echoing the grotesque rhetoric of fascists and violent white supremacists and threatening to oppress those who disagree with the government, are dangerous attacks on the dignity and rights of all Americans, on our democracy, and on public safety. It's the opposite of everything we stand for as Americans. I concur with that. I think that fascists have to undermine their citizenry, and half of the citizenry is usually women, close to it or over. And so let's pay attention to that, because we're going to move into an era where we have to really fight fascism in this country. Thank you.
Any more citizens' comments? Okay, we're moving on to letter A, finance, and the budget report is as submitted. Then we'll move on to human resources. The weekly personnel report is as submitted. Item 2 is legislative items. Are there any information? Seeing none. Nothing on legislative items. We'll move on to item 3, the resolution setting the 2025 through 2028 salary for the Douglas County Public Defender. And item 4, setting the 2025, 2028 salary for the Douglas County Clerk Comptroller. Is there a motion to approve items 3 and 4? Motion by Commissioner Boyle, is there a second?
Second.
You need that either? With that, please vote.
Give me one moment, please. And Mr. Chair, would you mind repeating the motion in second?
The motion was by Commissioner Boyle and second by Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Motion passes 6-0.
We do have a need for executive session for the purposes of contract negotiations, personnel, litigation, and security.
Commissioner Rogers, would you also add legal advice?
Okay.
Thank you so
And
much.
legal advice.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for those reasons.
Motion by Commissioner Morgan, seconded by Commissioner Boyle. And again, we're going into executive session for contract negotiations, personnel, litigation, security, and legal advice. Please vote.
Sorry, did you say security?
Security.
Motion passes 6-0. Motion by Commissioner Morgan, second by Commissioner Boyle to reconvene and adjourn. Motion passes 5-0. We're adjourned at 12:02 p.m.